So why don't we kick this off here? So we have attendees from all around the country, and we're on the East Coast, um, and it is hot as heck here. So I'm assuming there's a lot of hot as heck stuff there around the country. But it is, I know it's 95 degrees by us, Gina, right about that.
Yeah, it's
So
supposed to feel like 105 today.
oh, that's fantastic. So let's hope everyone's staying cool during this great webinar, and thank you so much for joining us. We have a very special guest today. I want to talk through her journey, it's a great one, but a very familiar one. Any advisor breaking away from a constrained environment, you're going to see a lot of overlap, a lot of similarities. But hearing it from the person that liberated themselves and made that decision to make the leap is always great. My exit happened in 2020. I would say I was worst case scenario. We're going to talk about Gina's experience when she handed her resignation in. And through my exit experience and the exit of dozens of other advisors, we've helped liberate out of these constrained environments. I mean, we've only taken that data and bettered the situation for every advisor now that makes a decision to come to Cornerstone and leave in these constrained environments down. If you're an advisor today that's frustrated by compliance guardrails built to the lowest common denominator, i.e., the advisor hired last month, and this webinar is for you. If you don't have true alignment with your firm, this webinar is for you. And if you're an advisor that doesn't have a problem selling proprietary products and maybe not acting in the client's best interest all the time, this webinar is clearly not for you. So we talk about alignment. If that's your goal, then there's clearly no alignment here, but let's get started. I have Gina Stormont here. She resides in Brooklyn, New York. Her and I were at the same insurance company for many years together. Built a relationship, and when enough was enough for her, we connected, and she's been with us for a few months now, and I wanted to introduce Gina. And Gina, why don't you give us kind of the 30,000-foot overview of your evolution through the industry from start to today?
Sure. Well, thank you first for having me. I appreciate it. So I entered this industry 22, almost 22 years already. And it was kind of a funny way that I got into it. Before I was in this industry, I was in publishing, and for two
Mm,
years, someone that I had worked very closely with tried to get me to enter this profession, and particularly the company that we were with. And for 2 years, I told them no until I got to the point where I had two little children and I wanted to make a big change. And it promised me flexibility that I was so searching for. But I really didn't join until I found out that they had a program where you could join and become a holistic advisor. That was important to me from the
mm.
very beginning. I was not interested until I saw the information that they had, and they told me about the area that I was able to join as soon as I can. I did. So it was great. And for years, I was there, and I really enjoyed the holistic piece of it. I started doing financial planning as soon as I was allowed to. I joined the fiduciary side of the business as soon as I was allowed to. I grew with them over the years. It was really great, but it became very apparent to me that um, there wasn't true alignment.
Mm.
There was a lot of promises that were made on how they were going to continue to transform, but it became very clear that their promises were well intended, but their real alignment was on their core business, and that they were never really going to embrace the rest of it the way I needed them to embrace for me to feel like I was doing everything I could for my clients.
Very true. In fact, that same company just a few weeks ago announced major changes in their recognition program, which
I
affects an
heard.
advisor's compensation, their benefits to their family. And it seems like they're doubling down on, hey, we need to move core product. In fact, one of the assessments we take a potential advisor through is identifying key things that they would want in their practice. And one of the questions is, hey, does your firm support this? I'm sorry, excuse me. Does your firm offer this? The next question, the more important one, does your firm support it? Because
That's
they may
correct.
say, hey, you can charge fees for planning. So I charged my first financial planning fee at this insurance company in '05. They had one person in the financial planning department. He is now retired, a gem of a man. I used to
I
have to,
remember him very well.
yes, I drove to home office from New Jersey, an hour and a half drive, just to go over the paperwork and what's needed to submit a financial plan.
Yep.
So that's a great example of they're offering it. There was no support there
Absolutely
at
not.
all.
Absolutely
And
not. And they
this,
never, one of the things that I found very frustrating as time went by is that they would pick a couple of technology pieces and they would stick with it. They would never
mm,
view what was out more recently, what would better serve our clients, and that was one of my big
yeah,
frustration points. It really bothered me that, yeah, and it bothered my clients because a lot of it didn't work the way it should, and they were very frustrated.
mm,
So that was one of the things that they were so excited about when I told them I was leaving, and those who were interested in continuing to work with me when I told them about the technology pieces and how many different options we have and how the technology was going to support it so that I could give them even better outcomes faster. They were so excited about that.
mm,
It was great. But yeah, they didn't have the technology that would make analysis more meaningful. They didn't have the internal structure that would support areas that didn't focus on what their core products and
hmm.
were. They didn't have the marketing compliance that knew anything to approve anything outside of their little world.
Yeah,
uh,
well, this goes back to compliance.
exactly.
The guardrails need to be molded around the common denominator, the lowest common denominator, excuse me. And that's the advisor that just got licensed, that has maybe one or two
It's
clients.
true.
And in one side of my brain, I say, look, if I was in a position of running the compliance for a company that large, that many people, I don't know if you have much of a choice. You can't
I agree.
tailor the compliance guidelines around each advisor, but that's where true alignment comes in. Because let's just say, for instance, Cornerstone doesn't have 10,000 advisors, but every advisor that's with us today, we have true alignment. So for
That's
us
correct.
to mold our compliance guardrails around, it actually fits everyone's practice, because the people that we allow to affiliate here with us have a very a common culture. And that's one of the filters that we bring the potential advisor through. And Gina, you went through this as well. Are you a cultural match? And we do a couple of different exercises. We analyze your book of business, ask a ton of questions. The financial piece is the eat, in my opinion, the easiest and the last thing we do.
Yes.
Because the last thing I would want to do as a leader, it's my responsibility to only allow people into the environment here that are cultural matches, not financial matches.
Yeah, and it
So,
was the same for me, and it was the same for me. I was not going to go to another company that I was gonna have the same frustrations about. It
mm,
was super important to me that I had a clear road ahead of me where I wasn't going to have to compromise anything that I was trying to do, or that was going to, hold me back in any way.
that's right.
I
Well, Gina,
I wanna be.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, no, go ahead.
Well, was there one thing? Now, we spoke probably about a year before you actually decided.
Mhm.
And I know a lot of advisors I think, follow more the roadmap that I had. There were drips along the way, right? There wasn't like everything was fine and I was great. Everything, I agree with everything. And all of a sudden, boom, this changes.
Yeah.
Was there this final straw that you realize that this is not going to work? I need to go. Like you're looking for an
Yeah,
exit.
I think there were, as you say, there were a lot of different drips for many, many years, and I reconciled some of them in my mind. But ultimately, one of the biggest things was, COVID took a toll on, I think,
Mm,
industry overall. Um,
for sure.
but from COVID on, it seemed that the main focus of the side of the business that I was all about compliance
Hmm.
in that lowest common denominator, where I would have a lot of tools that did much more robust analysis. Yet they forced us to spend hour upon hour doing busy work that I felt didn't really, it was a CYA for the
Hmm.
company, but not necessarily for me, and certainly not in the best interest of my clients. It wasn't giving us any real data that would help the process, which would mean that I was spending less and less time with my clients.
That's right.
And that was the reason why I came in here, is that I feel that I have a mission to help as many people as possible in the best possible way. I tell all of my clients that the reason why I'm here is to support them to live the best lives that they can possibly live. And I didn't
Hmm.
feel like I was living my best life, because I was
Oh,
bogged
interesting.
down with so much of this stuff that was just there because of compliance and not because it was bringing any value. And that's not what I'm about.
So let
My purpose and my job is to spend time with my clients and make sure that I understand who they are and what I can do to help bring that life that I believe everyone should live.
so I'm going to try and encapsulate that because that's a great point. Is it wasn't an event or maybe even a changing of the rules. It was over time their inefficiencies, and I can attest to this being here 17 years. Their inefficiencies created more work for you and your staff
Yeah,
that didn't serve your clients in their best interest. They weren't
correct.
serving you and to the point where that time commitment kept on growing. And for you, it was like, all right, I ran out of time. I need to
Yeah.
make a decision because there is no more time. And, you know, I go back to this company would tout hiring staff. That was a measurement of success, how many staff people you had. I look back on it today, and a measurement of success in the fee only RIA space is efficiency. It's not number of staff people. In fact, we had one team join us from this insurance company because of our efficiencies, our
Yeah.
automations, our technology. They shed two staff people within a few months of joining. Now, we're not in the business of getting people out of their jobs. In fact, those one of them wound up being an employee here, one of our staff people, and he's a key member of our executive team. But I think that's why this company and other companies tout hiring staff is that they know you just need more hands to get around all the inefficiencies.
Mhm.
Because to your point, their rules and regs are just they're creating time. On
Yeah, and
top of that, this notion of selling as a certain amount of their core product within this 1 year time frame is now compounding the time issue because you and I both had to bring on clients that were not ideal to us. They were
correct.
not ideal clients, but they needed an insurance product that, hey, I just got to check the box. Let me just hit that level where my revenue is, I know where it is, and I keep the benefits for me and my family. You talk about conflicts of interest. I mean, that's just painted in red, that
Yes.
scenario.
Yeah. And quite frankly, I value my staff. First of all, the staff at Cornerstone has been absolutely amazing. If I ask them something, they know their stuff. They're
Oh,
so wonderful to work with. They are part of my team. But now on my personal side, my team can be so much more focused as well,
that's right.
which also is an efficiency. It also is bringing them a lot more joy because they're now spending time doing things that they want to be doing as well. So everyone is happier. It's just a much more
Yeah.
pleasant place to be. And we don't have deadlines anymore, which was also part of the thing. There were always deadlines,
Yeah.
false deadlines.
So who wins in a deadline? So when we look at firms, I don't want to pick on this one insurance company because I believe
No,
they're all
and
like
it's
that,
across the
right?
board.
It's
I've
all of
had
them, right?
conversations with people throughout the industry. I mean,
Yeah.
I did my due diligence before joining your company.
The Oh, and I think I told you this. I want people to go out
Yes.
and interview at other firms. In fact, for the people that have joined us at shopped elsewhere, it only solidified that our value proposition here is much different than most of the industry. Um, One of the things is our personal development and team support. So we have, and Gina, you're a big advocate of this, our mastermind support.
Yep.
We meet every other month. Two of them are live in person. One's at our annual advisor summit event in October, where each advisor submits their biggest issue, opportunity, concern, and all the other advisors get to comment and give guidance. Now, getting all these like-minded people in a room, there has been so much synergy, joint work, collaborations, and even succession that has happened through these conversations. Now, there's a little selfishness on my part because, Gene, you know this because you sat in a bunch of them. I sit there and take notes.
Mhm.
What's a common thread? What's everyone saying? Well, then it's my job as the leader to take back this, okay, what can we do as a firm to support these advisors? And when I tell you the success stories around an advisor for 25 years that never charged a planning fee, didn't know how to do it. He had two or three other people in that meeting said the same thing. I said, well, you know what? We're going to create a learning path. We created two or three follow-up calls after that mastermind. Now that advisor is doing over six figures a year in planning fees and will not take a client on without a financial planning fee because he saw the impact. He became a believer. He had a system. We have a process. The team supports him. So it's something he can automate for the most part. And now he's like, well, I just wish I did this 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
so
that
I
was
know
one
you've
of the
been,
things that was so refreshing to me because there would be things that I would want to implement, and literally it would take 2 years
hmm,
for approval on something that the industry already had established. It was crazy. And here, after a conversation, sometimes within the same day, you have a list of things that we're now going to be implementing. It's
that's right.
it's a world of difference. I can't stress to you how important time is in all
Mhm.
of this, right?
Uh,
Time is a currency. It really is. And to be able to get so much of my time back, to be heard, to know that there is an alignment, that what is best for the advisor, for the best of the client, is also the best for the company that you're
mhm.
aligned with. It's a true synergistic thing of beauty. That's all I have to say
Well,
about that.
yeah, it's so you know how much I'm into personal development and health and wellness and mental wellness and things like that. This is a common thread that I've seen when advisors are taken out of these constrained environments. Their whole physiology changes, their mental aspect changes, everything changes. We had one of the advisors and their spouse was in my office a few months after, maybe 6 months after his transition here, and the wife hugged me and said, "He's a different person."
Yeah.
So, and you've heard me say this, just want to work on being a better human, not
Yeah.
just a better advisor, not just a better team member, be a better human, a better husband, a better wife, a better mother, father. That makes you a better advisor to your clients, makes you more impactful. So, because this is so fresh to you, how did your mental and physical state change while you're in that constrained environment to today?
It's funny that you should ask that because I really didn't realize how stressed out I was
Mm.
until I left. And I have to tell you, every client appointment that I have, they're all so happy that I'm happy. They're so happy that I'm happy. They feel the energy that's different. I have more time than I've had before. I have more free time to spend time doing things I love, to spend time with people that I love, to just listen closer. As
Isn't
simple
that
as
great?
that, I have more time to listen, which is
How
a
about
beautiful thing.
How about thinking? This is the one
Yeah,
thing that advisors, business owners, entrepreneurs, when you're in the throes of work, business, whatever it is, couple that with a requirement, a sales requirement. On top of that, we're going to make you a mini service center to your clients so the clients don't have to come to us. We're going to throw these unrealistic compliance guardrails or guidelines on you that is going to create more work for you and your staff. When do you actually work on your business? So when you free up time and we go through this process, we went through this process with you, segmenting your client,
Mhm.
building that strategic calendar. Everyone looks and goes, oh my God, look at all this free time I have. Great. Go to the movies, go to the beach, go on a sabbatical. We support every single, I just got back from my 2.5 week sabbatical, no phone, no email, no anything. I do it twice a year and I come back with the best ideas.
Mhm.
Why? Because there's no breakthroughs that happen within these four walls because we're playing defense most of the day, right?
Mhm.
We have things
Absolutely.
scheduled. You need to detach. Detachment is a superpower. And as we were interviewing a large advisor team, and when we talked about supporting them when they detach, and they're interviewing 5 or 6 firms, they're like, we've never heard anyone ever say that we will support you. Your team will support our clients' inbounds while we have no access to email.
Yep.
And my response was, I've seen how impactful it's been to me. My team is not allowed to look at their emails if they're on they get a limited PTO. They're not allowed to look at their emails while they're off. We have cover and move in place for that. I've seen how impactful it's been to me is being a better human, better leader, better father, better husband. Why wouldn't I want everyone to do that? So we
Right.
support it. And we have some questions for you, Gina. You're very popular today. Look
Sure.
at you. This is one of the common questions I get is I get concerned about clients not coming with me if I were to consider a move. Would Gina say a high percentage of her clients moved with her? And how about Carmine? So we have these discussions. I'll answer first, Gina. I'm sorry. So um, there are things we could say, things we can't say. We can announce that we're moving and we give the client and say, hey, look, you have the ability as a consumer to work with any advisor you want. I had those great conversations with clients. In fact, when if you were ever to transition in your career, it is the best exercise to ask your clients to rehire you because what in essence you're doing is you're telling the clients, hey, I've moved on. These are the reasons why. And that why going from a constrained environment to an independent environment is a huge story. Your clients should know that. And I don't know about you, Jim, my clients got excited about the journey because, like, wow, oh, great, this is going to be fantastic. It forces the client to think back, wow, Gina's done so much good work for us. Of course, Gina, we support your move 100%. Roger that. I had out of 196 or 98 households, I don't remember the number, that I asked to come with me. All but 2 did not, and they happened to be one was an employee of the old firm, which I kind of understood. The other one, it was a whole other story. So I had a 98 point some odd whatever retention rate. Gina, I'm assuming you're probably about the same for the clients you've spoken to after.
Yep.
So
It's
what
it's
was it? You think?
it's funny. It was 2 for me as well, and I knew that they weren't going to come for me because they
Mm.
did not take advantage of all the services that
Oh.
I did. They just didn't have the time to do it. So I asked them because they met my criteria, but I knew
Mm-hmm.
that they weren't going to come. I was surprised at how many people begged me to take them with them, even
Ah.
though they didn't meet my criteria.
How funny is that?
That was the part that was interesting. I had the same fears, what if people don't come with me? It was overwhelming. It was actually a really great ego boost, I
Mm.
should say, because it was overwhelming how excited people were for me. They were truly excited. They saw how happy I was talking about it. They were happy that the things that frustrated them, I was able to say, "Hey, I'm finally gonna get the support that I need, technology, getting the answer," all of these things that the reasons why I left. I mean, I was perfectly honest with people in explaining why I felt that it wasn't a good fit for
Mm-hmm.
me or for, or for them ultimately, but I didn't call them asking them to necessarily come. I truly told them why I was leaving, and they overwhelmingly said, okay, when are we coming with you?
Right. They
How do
kind of
we come
assume
with
that.
you?
They assume
Because
that. Yeah.
they understood what I
Yeah.
was trying to do, and they knew that I was doing the right thing for them. And what was really surprising was how many people were relieved that I was leaving, because I think that they were feeling some of the pressure
Mm.
that I was under as well.
It's hard for them not to, right? So they get a statement at that insurance company. They got a statement. They had the insurance company's name on it,
Yep.
the broker dealer that the insurance company owned on it, and the RA the insurance company owned on a statement. And then we both had DBAs and our DBA name on it. So you had four names,
Yeah, and they didn't
but
understand the
none
delineation
of it,
between all
right?
of them, and quite frankly, you can't really understand the delineation between them. So it was an easy, such an
Mm,
easy conversation. It was much easier, and the hardest conversations were those that it's not appropriate for me to take this. We have things in place, they're the right things for you.
mhm.
It's a captive company. I will still, be here to answer your questions, but I don't think it's appropriate for us to move stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
And and they
it
were like,
does make
"Well, what
sense.
am I going to do?" I just had a call last week from one of those clients, and they were like, "I don't care. I'm coming. I'm coming." And I was like, "I won't move. I won't move these things. It's not in your best interest.
Mm,
I can't move this." We could talk about other things. We can talk about me making sure it's all part of the bigger plan, but I'm not moving something that's not going to be in your best interest. And that was a really interesting conversation. And for
yeah.
some of them, they're going to have to pay me more to do some of the things that they might have gotten elsewhere, because I had that additional product in place.
Right.
But you'd be surprised at how many people it's like, please, I beg you, I will pay you whatever you need, because I did not realize how much you do and how much you're a part of our lives.
And that's why when talking to you initially, I could tell a cultural match within 15, 20 minutes, speaking to an advisor, talking about what does your client population look like? What services you provide? What's your staff look like? Here's one of the questions that's on our intake form. What personal development do you do? What industry conferences do you go to? What podcasts you listen to? What are the last three books you read? Right. I love an advisor who is like, I have a personal development budget I use every year. And it's funny, the more I spend, that's a horrible term. The more I invest in myself
I
through
was going to
personal
say it's an
development
investment. It's a difference.
is well, I see it on a P&L. So it's, to me, it's a, yeah. The more I invest in myself, the faster and the more we grow. And
Absolutely. It's
just
exponential.
yeah, and I would challenge anyone that has a BHAG goal, big hairy audacious goal, and you can write it down. Like, right, whiteboards, we have whiteboards everywhere. Write it down, great. But I would challenge you with this one question, because this is what changed my life: is who do you need to become to pull that off? Because until you change yourself, very hard. It's going to be very hard to change your. So if someone wanted to 5x their revenue, can you do that in the state? Well, no. Yeah. What does your team look like? What does your morning routine look like? What does your health regimen look like? Because you need more energy, right? If you want to grow, you want to make 5 times the revenue, great. What's your physiology? What doctors are you seeing?
Yeah.
How often are you going to the gym? All these things are correlated. People kind of separate them in silos. They're not. The moment I realize it's before I have to better myself, before I can better any situation in my life, things
Well, we're
changed.
holistic advisors, right? We're
Right.
holistic.
Exactly. Right. Um, so we have enough. Well, listen, I already know the answer to this question. I heard Carmine say in a podcast the only thing he would change was that he wished he left sooner. Does Gina feel the same way? Should I answer or should you answer? Because we had this
Yes.
conversation, what, a couple weeks ago? Or no, I'm sorry, last week. Yeah.
It's a resounding yes, of course. Of course. The grass truly is greener.
Well, the one thing I would challenge anybody to do, and this is what I did when I decided to leave, I called, there was about 8 or 9 advisors who left wirehouses or insurance companies that I knew of that went independent, and I called them. And a lot of these were friends of mine for 10, 15 plus years. I don't want the good, I told them all. Don't give me the good. I got the good. That's easy to digest. What's the bad? What's the one, two, three things you wish you did different? I wrote them all down. In fact, I still had that back when we used paper. I had a transition binder that I had all of our data in, and I had that pro and con list. And at the end of the day, I had maybe 10 or 15 things that people wish they did different. And I looked at them all and I said, these are not bad at all. Not even close. I could live with every one of these things going. But now that 10, 15 items, I made sure during my transition and during everyone else's transition, we didn't miss that as part of our onboarding process. We provide complete transition support to any advisor. So that's part of our workflow. Those items are in there because, yeah. And I made one mistake when I left, that one of the tech vendors that we were using at the insurance company assured me that I could convert this to a uh, private ownership account where my data would move, and I got bad information. So little bit of a hiccup, but it wasn't a technology that all my clients use. So it wasn't as big of a deal as it. And in fact, it forced me to use a different technology, one of their competitors, which is far more superior. So at the end of the day, I always say this, we never win. There's no win or lose here. We either win or learn. And I learned.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things about being with a bigger company, even though we were the ones paying for a lot of the technology, it wasn't ours in a way. So I know
Yeah,
exactly what technology you're talking about because I
you
had a
do.
similar issue.
That's right.
And it was a very similar thing where they're like, you have to get your client's data by going to the other company and asking them to release it, which
Yeah.
I did a lot of I made sure that I had a lot of information
Mhm.
saved.
Yeah.
Um, but there you can't capture everything. You can't capture everything. So, as I was preparing, there are a lot of things that I should have started earlier, quite frankly. I should have started thinking about what I wanted my business to look like, what I was going to say to those who weren't going to fit my ideal client anymore.
Oh, the kind of the
Yeah.
narratives. Yeah. Yeah.
The narratives,
Mhm.
I wish I had done some of that slightly different. Overall, I feel like I was very prepared. I mean, I was pretty prepared for the move and a couple technology glitches here and there, like you said about bringing things, but your processes and your staff were really great about all the questions that I had providing me with those answers
Mhm.
before anything. So I did like you, I spoke with so many different people who had
Oh, yeah.
made the
Yeah.
transition prior, and I did the same thing, what are going to be the things that I'm going to regret or I'm going to forget about or what have you. And the regrets, very little, almost nothing, all
Almost nothing.
technical
Yeah.
little things. Overwhelmingly, every single person said you're going to be happier.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and I was happier from the day I started. Actually, I went and celebrated the day that I handed in my resignation. Uh,
Hmm.
and I haven't looked back since.
That's great.
And there has been no reason to look back since. So it's been a great move, and I'm very happy that I'm among people. Everyone's been so gracious. All the other advisors have been lovely to have conversations with. Everyone is willing to share their best practices. We all run our own businesses. Yeah, and it's nice to see
Support.
support and true collaboration. True
You know,
collaboration.
yeah. I always say this, stop competing, start collaborating. I heard that from Dan Sullivan.
No, yeah,
And
but
it's
we
so
say that to
true.
our clients, right? We collaborate with their CPAs and their attorneys and their
Yep.
property and casualty.
Stop. Great
Great.
things happen collaboration brings among some of the greatest things that's ever happened in this world. Look back and the problem is scarcity mentalities. No one here has a scarcity mentality. We all have
No.
abundance mentalities, right? There's
Well,
so much business out there. So many people need our help. If we could just put our swords away and stop competing. Oh, this is there's only so much business. I got to hold it all tightly to my
well,
chest and I'm going to hold it. I'm going to protect but no, we don't have that issue here. In fact, we
you
have givers.
it has to
Yeah.
be different because it's knowledge that you get is so exponential, right?
Yeah.
Your trajectory of what you know and what's possible changes when you work with other people.
That's right. That's right.
You
And one
don't
plus
know
one
what you
equal
don't
can you,
know until you hear someone else. It's like, that is brilliant. I steal lines from people all the time. I mean,
yeah.
the 911 411, I stole directly from you at the last summit meeting.
Hey, you got to sign something. I get
I
10
have to
cents
tell you, I
every
have a
time you say
lot
that.
of I work with I'm part of a group of advisors throughout all different industries,
Mhm.
and I can't tell you how many of them stole that line too.
There's no new thing out there.
No, there isn't.
It's all the information that the common denominator the differentiating factor years ago from someone in any industry that's in the top 1% versus standard mediocre person was being in the know, like having the
Mhm.
knowledge. What do we have here? Everything you need,
Right.
especially now with AI growing, everything you need is here. So what's the differentiating factor today of a super successful 1% advisor versus the ones that are just static or just growing 3 to 5% a year, right? It's application. It's doing the work. And that's the
Yeah.
one common denominator, the biggest one. And it all hovers around discipline and things like that. But
I
that's
was
the
going
one
to
thing I found.
I would say one other thing, perspective.
Well,
Perspective
yeah,
is really, really
the
important. You have to be open.
the
You
two
have to be
things that
open.
the two things highly successful people do differently than the I wouldn't say not successful, the standard in every industry is how they think and what they do.
Mhm.
Thinking comes first. Because to your point, perspective, if you think something's possible, great. Like somebody that is thinking properly will look at so we had some things internally we're changing and it cost some time and money, actually a lot of money. And some people look at that as defeat. I do not. We learned what didn't work and now we're pivoting. Someone else says, oh my God, look how much money you spent on this experiment. It didn't work. We got to shut this down. No, 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 no. That's claiming defeat. People with really strong mindsets, I not that I love that something doesn't work, but we got to extrapolate a win. We have to
Absolutely.
pull something out of there that either gives us fuel
That's right.
or we pivot and now we know where not to go. Now the road's narrow,
Right.
right? So, well, this has been great, Gina. The problem with you and I is that we can have this conversation for 6 7 hours and never lose speed. That's because we do have we have alignment the way we think, the way we work with our clients, and that's what I try and get this message out because it's so valuable to advisors that are afraid. They're afraid to talk. They're afraid to take the leap. They know they can't stay where they're at. It's not a match, but it's so comfortable just to be in this nice, cozy environment where the company sends you to these trips and serves you cold chicken and all this other nonsense. And I just want to challenge it. Look, if you're an advisor listening to this and you're sick of these technology guardrails that you can't use Calendly, for example, there's one major firm that won't let their advisors use, actually multiple. How much time does Calendly save your staff? If you're frustrated with this grip on technology or the compliance guardrails or the even worse, the sales requirements that get in the way of you acting in your client's best interest, click on the link I'm about to put in the chat, schedule a time. Let's talk. My journey, my personal journey, again, worst case scenario, and dozens of other people that we've helped liberate out of these environments arms us with the best knowledge, in my opinion, the best transition strategy and processes that we've seen. Let's have a conversation. And I challenge you, you talk to any advisor. The one thing they regret is they should have done it sooner. So if you want to have a completely discreet conversation, click on the link. Let's chat. We may not be a match, that's fine. But I guarantee you, you'll come out of this conversation, have a little more knowledge on what's possible out there. Gina, thank you so much for your time. I know it's very valuable, and I do appreciate it. You are a great success story. You're going to continue to grow. You've been growing like crazy the last couple months, by the way. So we have a KPI dashboard that we track. So I see what's happening in Gina land there, and you are growing like a weed. And it's going to be cool. What we do here is we get actually data first 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and we track the revenue per advisor, but not just revenue, number of households, time worked, like things like that. Like we have advisors that we have one advisor here. We're going to do a webinar on this one person. He conformed to our strategies, used our service team. Within 12 months, more than doubled his revenue, doubled his assets under management, kept the same household count, worked 6 hours less on average a week. And you may say, how is that possible? Well, stay tuned because we're actually getting a third party to write a white paper on it because we have the data, and we're going to give you all the information how to really take his story and make it your own. Click on the link. Let's have a chat if you're sick and tired of the constrained environment, and let's see if there's options for you elsewhere. Thank you, everyone. This has been great.
Carmine.
Gina, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I appreciate you, and I will talk to you soon.
Okay, take care.
Have a good day.